to my Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover 2019 edition. So these are all books that I read in 2018 and were released in 2019. So some of them, I think they've really upped their game, like the book industry this year. I don't remember them like putting out like, I don't know. They really upped their game. So some of these are just like based more on taste. But the very first book is The Gilded Wolves by Roisin Chatsky. And this cover is one of the most beautiful, like I gotta give the creditors this, it's one of the most beautiful covers that came out this year and the most alluring. And I heard about it at the end of last year and I was excited for it. And I almost went and bought it because the cover was so beautiful and I heard good things about it originally. And then I started hearing some worse reviews, but then I started listening to it and I tried to read it and I tried to listen to it and it kind of just lost me. And it was so hard. Maybe I'm just really dumb, but it was so hard to keep up with the story. I didn't like it in the end. I didn't even follow the story all the way through, I feel like. And it's just, it was exciting. I remember giving the review about it. It was exciting because it had all the right elements, but for some reason it just didn't come together. Because it was like a new setting scene in like France, and I don't know, for like a mystery, like cool fantasy, but it just, I didn't get it in the end. So don't judge a book by its cover and don't buy them. I'm so tempted even today to like go buy a book that has a beautiful cover right now. And yeah, I haven't read it yet. So I'm really trying to read books before I buy them anymore. The next one is 99% Mine by Sally Theron. This one is definitely a personal preference taste. I think it's just like the yellow, wherever it is, the yellow and the purple together. For some reason, it doesn't captivate me. And it's okay, and it's like right on point, and it's an illustrated cover, which is really popular among adult romances these days. And it's kind of cutesy, but for some reason, it's kind of meh to me. Like the coloring doesn't come across and pop out at me and say, I need you and I want to buy you. Actually, I'll just grab. I think it's honestly, now looking at it, it's the coloring. It's just, none of these are my favorite colors. Like it's a mustard, like I like pale yellows and I like true mustard yellows, but this is like a pale mustard yellow. And this purple, this grape purple, I just do not like. I don't know. So yeah, it just, in their faces aren't particularly like, yeah, I want to read that. It's just, for me, this one's a personal taste one. But I also, if you can see, The Hating Game was her first release and it was a big hit and I did not like it. So seeing this cover, I was just like, meh, I don't think so. I might pass. But then I heard good reviews on it and I heard it was very different and that people either like the first one or like the second one kind of thing. So I went ahead and read it and I absolutely loved it. So definitely don't judge a book by its cover. It is about this girl named Darcy and she is fixing up a house. She inherited it. And then this guy was like one of her best friends growing up, her brother's best friend growing up. And it is like his first construction job on his construction company, and he's taking it very, very seriously, but he can't help but notice his best friend's little sister, and she's always kind of noticed him. So it's a really fun romance. It's takes a while. It's a little bit longing for a while, but I had fun with it. I loved it. I'm glad I didn't judge a book by like previous books / coloring. I don't know. I think it's just the coloring on this. Like, I just don't think these colors go together, personally. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. The next one was The Beautiful by Renee Adonai, and this one is one of the most gorgeous vampire covers I have ever seen. It's got this beautiful cup, and you know it's about New Orleans, and it's got these beautiful rose petals coming out of it. It's just a striking cover. Like, it stands out, and I just didn't get along with the story again. It was mediocre. It was okay. I didn't really like, if I kind of lost when I was listening to it, I wasn't like, oh man, I would want to re-listen to that part or anything. And my mind kind of wandered elsewhere when I was listening to it. So yeah, it was just okay in the end. It was an okay vampire story. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, but for me, I wouldn't purchase the book. And if it had been before I had read it and knowing that it was vampires and I hadn't read about vampires in a long time, I probably would have purchased it because it's a really, really pretty cover. The next one is Slayer by Kristen White. This one got some mixed reviews, but I absolutely adored it, and I had watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like pieces and parts of it when I was little, and I didn't really remember it. I wasn't a huge fan, so for me it was kind of exciting. So I think bigger fans might not have liked it, but I really enjoyed the book overall. I didn't know some parts. I had to like go and like watch some parts of Buffy to understand like the Watchers, because it definitely picks up right at the end of the last season. And I just don't like the cover. I think that cover, I love Kristen Wright's writing, but that cover is just like, oh, it could have been released back when Buffy ended. Like, it's definitely like a 90s circa 2000 cover to me. It's just, I don't know. I hope they up their game with the next one in the series. I really enjoyed it. I will be going on with the series, but I didn't love the book cover. The next one is Famous in a Small Town by Emma Mills. This one was released really earlier this year. So was Slayer. Well, actually, a bunch of these were. So was Gilded Wolves. But yeah, I just didn't particularly I really liked this cover, but I didn't particularly love the story. It was like a mediocre read, but I really liked the color. I liked the cutouts on it, and I liked the gradient color on it, and it's not like super like in your face like ombre, but it's something nice about it. And I like she has another cover that's blue, and I really like that one too. So something about the colors and the little cutouts I just really adore and think are gorgeous and beautiful. And there was another book she did. I think she gets Emma Mills, whoever does her illustrated art on the cover, she gets it always spot on, because all her book covers I've ever looked at are gorgeous. And I've loved some of her other books, but just not this one. This one was just like middle of the road. So for this one, I just don't think the book matches the cover. And I probably would have bought it knowing I had read other books and really enjoyed them, because the cover is so pretty and it's just gradient orange color. I keep waving over here, mine over here. But I just, yeah, for me, not in the end. I wouldn't have bought it. The next thing is You Save in a Fire by Catherine Zenner. This one I do and I don't like the cover. The cover has these really cool paper cutouts, but this the description of what the novel is about, it's about a girl who's like a firefighter, and she moves to Boston. She's kind of in like a more liberal firefighting place where there's men and women working together in Austin, and they've got like a vegan garden and stuff. And then she moves to a very staunch old school Boston one who like doesn't have the public funding, doesn't have all the stuff they need, very like old boys club. And she's used to the boys club mentality, definitely. But from reading the synopsis and then looking at the cover, I would have looked at the cover and been like, oh, cute paper cutouts, but it wouldn't have been like, I need that. Like, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And then also the synopsis, I was just kind of like, meh. So to me, it just kind of sounded like a middle of the road book, but I heard some good things about it from some people on YouTube. So I was like, well, maybe. And this book did not get enough hype. I absolutely adored the book and loved it. It was one of the best books I definitely read this year. So I wish it had like a really beautiful cover art like the Gilded Wolves did. I wish it just had a very gorgeous cover art to match how good the book was. So that one is just like, it wasn't that it was a bad cover art at all, or I didn't really like it. It's just, it should have had something better, I think. But maybe when it gets released in other countries, they'll like have a cooler one, because sometimes that happens sometimes they come out with special editions. The next one is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. And this one, once again, I didn't even hear about it anywhere. And then I heard like a YouTuber mention it and be like, it's a really good book. I cannot believe it's not talked about more. And then I looked at the cover art, and when I looked it up, and I set it aside based on the cover art. It's got these really pastel colors, but they're not gorgeous. Nothing stands out in any way. And you kind of, yeah. And even so, they redid the cover art, and they did this one with like just like a bed sheet. And still, again, I would take one look at that cover and be like, eh. But I heard it again from that same YouTuber who said, hey, this book was really, really good. You should check it out if you're into romances. And I was like, okay, I should really put that on my list again. And then I did, and it was so good. It was one of the best books in romance I read this year. And I read like 80 romances. So for it to beat out like 80 other romances and one of the best books released this year, it was so good. And I think it's the girl's debut novel, which is crazy because I've read really, really good debut novels this year. And yeah, I can talk. The cover art, when it gets released, I think it's from the UK, but I'm not positive. When it does get released here, I hope they redo the cover art, and I hope it gets more hype than it does, because it was such a good book. And it's not that the pastels are, it's like, I think it just gets kind of washed aside. And yeah, the other one is kind of boring too. The one with the bed. It's kind of boring as well. But it's such a good book. And it turned out good because I read some funny romance books this year and they were cute and funny. But this one, like, I wasn't expecting it to be funny. And it's a really funny story. And it's about a girl and a boy. I mean, it turns out to have really funny moments in it. And I didn't realize it was going to be funny. But it's about a girl and a boy who share a flat. They're never home at the same time. They never even meet in the beginning. And they just like leave little notes to each other like, you used all the toothpaste. And they're both involved with other people when they first start sharing the flat. And yeah, things happen and things change. And then, yeah, it's really fun. It's really, really good. And it was done really, really well. Definitely slow burn romance. So if you're into those, or like friendships to lovers, yeah, it was done amazing. And the last one was More Than Words by Jill Santopolo. This one, I was kind of blown away by the writing of The Lost. What was it? I don't know. It was her other book that got really, really famous. And it was, the Things We Lost, or the Light We Lost. So yeah, she wrote The Light We Lost, which was a romance book, and she did a really, really good job on it, and the cover art is beautiful, and this time the cover art is gorgeous, and it's got this girl, and it's like her profile, but it's like cut out, and there's like birds coming out of her, and it's a very, very, very striking cover art. Like, took a lot of time to do that cover art, whoever did it. And yeah, this one though, this book for me just ended up being mediocre. I ended up having problems with the storyline. It's about a girl who like grows up wealthy, but she's involved with a guy who's like gonna be the mayor, but she's being pressured into being with a guy that she's been with for a little bit and has known her whole life. And they're gonna take over the company together when their parents leave. I don't know. It's just, there were some problems in the book and I didn't really like it. It was definitely mediocre, but it had a stunning, stunning cover art. And based off her last book, since it was so good, I was tempted to buy this one just because it has beautiful cover art. But I'm glad I didn't. Glad I saved the money because it's not a book I would reread. And those are all the books that I went through my list that I read. I read a lot more books than that, but those are all the books that I went through my list that the cover art just didn't match up with the story. It was just either mediocre and needed to be better, or just wasn't good, or it had beautiful cover art and then the story just didn't live up to the beautiful cover art. And those are all the books though. If you guys found any books this year or bought a book that you regret buying, I'd like to know down below. And then maybe I won't buy it. I'll read it first. And I will see you guys in the next Bookmas. See you guys next time. Bye.